I stood frozen outside my own bedroom door, my hand shaking as I held my phone. Through the thin crack, I could hear my wife Sarah's voice, crystal clear, talking to someone on the phone. "Thank God he finally got fired," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "Now we can finally move forward with our plans." My heart stopped. My legs felt like jelly. The woman I married 3 years ago, the woman who promised to love me in good times and bad times, was happy that I lost my job? But wait, what plans was she talking about? And who was we? I pressed my ear closer to the door, my whole body trembling. What I heard next made my blood run cold. Yes, I already talked to him about it. Once Michael thinks he has no options left, he'll agree to anything. The house, the car, everything will be ours. He won't even see it coming. Before we continue with this crazy story, drop a comment below and tell me, where are you watching this from? Type your country or city. And if you think Sarah is about to do something terrible, type betrayal in the comments right now. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. It was 3 days ago on a normal Tuesday morning. My name is Michael Torres, and I'm 32 years old. I worked as a sales manager at a big electronics company in the city. I've been at that job for 7 years. 7 whole years of waking up early, working late nights, and doing everything I could to provide for my family. My wife Sarah is 30 years old. She's beautiful, with long brown hair and green eyes that used to make me feel like the luckiest man alive. We met at a coffee shop 5 years ago. I accidentally spilled my coffee on her laptop, and instead of getting angry, she laughed. That laugh made me fall in love with her right away. We got married 3 years ago in a small church ceremony. It wasn't fancy, but it was perfect. Sarah wore a simple white dress, and when she walked down the aisle toward me, I cried. I actually cried tears of happiness because I couldn't believe someone so wonderful wanted to spend her life with me. For the first 2 years, everything was amazing. We lived in a small apartment, but we were happy. We would cook dinner together, watch movies on our old couch, and talk about our dreams for hours. Sarah wanted to start her own business someday, maybe a bakery or a small cafe. I wanted to move up in my company and eventually buy us a house with a big backyard. About a year ago, things started to change. Sarah began spending more time on her phone. At first, I didn't think much of it. Everyone uses their phone a lot these days, right? But then I noticed she would smile at her screen in a way she used to smile at me. When I asked her what was so funny, she would quickly lock her phone and say, "Oh, nothing. Just a silly video." She also started going out more with her friends. Every Thursday night, she would get dressed up really nice, put on makeup, and say she was going to meet her friend Lisa for dinner. She would come home late, sometimes at midnight, smelling like expensive perfume I never bought her. I tried to ignore the weird feelings in my stomach. I told myself I was just being paranoid. Sarah loved me. We were happy. Everything was fine. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Then, 3 days ago, I was having lunch with my best friend Marcus at our favorite burger place downtown. Marcus has been my friend since high school. He's the kind of guy who always tells you the truth, even when you don't want to hear it. We were eating our burgers when Marcus suddenly got serious. He put down his food and looked at me with worried eyes. "Mike, I need to tell you something, and you're probably going to get mad at me," he said. My stomach dropped. "What is it?" "Last Thursday, I saw Sarah at that fancy Italian restaurant on 5th Street. You know, the one that costs like $200 per person." I froze. Sarah told me she was meeting Lisa at a casual diner last Thursday. Why would she be at an expensive Italian restaurant? "Maybe you saw someone who looked like her," I said, but my voice was shaking. Marcus shook his head. "Mike, it was definitely her. And she wasn't alone. She was with some guy in a fancy suit. They were holding hands across the table." The burger in my mouth suddenly tasted like cardboard. Couldn't swallow. Couldn't breathe. "What did the guy look like?" I asked quietly. "Tall, maybe 40 years old. Really expensive-looking suit and watch." They looked close, Mike. Really close. Like more than friends close. I wanted to jump up and scream. I wanted to flip the table and punch the wall. But instead, I just sat there, feeling like my whole world was crumbling around me. "I'm sorry, man," Marcus said. "I wasn't sure if I should tell you, but you're my best friend. You deserve to know the truth." I nodded slowly. "Thanks for telling me." But inside, my mind was racing. Was Sarah cheating on me? Was she planning to leave me? How long had this been going on? That's when Marcus said something that changed everything. "You know what you should do?" he said. "Test her. See how she really feels about you." My cousin did this once. He pretended something bad happened to him to see if his girlfriend would stick by him or run away. It showed him who she really was. A test. That word stuck in my brain like glue. "What kind of test?" I asked. Marcus leaned forward. "Tell her you got fired from your job. See how she reacts. If she really loves you, she'll be supportive and try to help you. But if she's been planning to leave you or use you, well, you'll find out real quick." I sat there thinking about it for a long time. Part of me thought it was a terrible idea. You shouldn't test the person you love, right? But another part of me, the part that saw her smiling at her phone and smelling like strange perfume, needed to know the truth. "I'll think about it," I told Marcus, but I already knew I was going to do it. The next 2 days were torture. I watched Sarah carefully, looking for any signs that something was wrong. She seemed normal on the outside, making breakfast, asking about my day, kissing me goodbye in the morning. But I noticed things I hadn't noticed before, like how she always took her phone to the bathroom with her, or how she changed her phone password. I used to know it was her birthday 0524, but when I tried to use it to check the weather on her phone, it didn't work. She had changed it without telling me. On Thursday night, she got dressed up again. Black dress, high heels, fancy makeup. "Going to see Lisa again?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yep, just dinner and maybe a movie." "Don't wait up," she said cheerfully, giving me a quick kiss on the cheek. I watched her drive away in her car, and my hands balled into fists. She was lying to me. I could feel it in my bones. That night, I made my decision. Tomorrow, I would do the test. Friday morning came. I woke up early, my heart pounding like a drum. Sarah was still asleep next to me, her brown hair spread across the pillow. She looked so peaceful, so innocent. For a moment, I almost changed my mind. But then I remembered Marcus's words. "You deserve to know the truth." I got ready for work like normal. I put on my suit, ate breakfast, and kissed Sarah goodbye. She mumbled something sleepy and smiled at me. "Have a good day at work, honey," she said. "You too," I replied, even though she didn't have a job. She quit her job at the bookstore about 6 months ago, saying she wanted to focus on herself for a while. I supported her decision because I made enough money for both of us. I drove to work, but I couldn't focus on anything. My boss, Mr. Patterson, asked me 3 times if I was okay. "You look terrible, Mike. Are you feeling sick?" he asked. "No, I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well," I lied. The day dragged on forever. Every minute felt like an hour. Finally, at 5 p.m., I left the office. But I didn't go home. Not yet. I sat in my car in the parking lot, taking deep breaths, preparing myself. I pulled out my phone and stared at Sarah's contact picture. It was a photo from our honeymoon in Hawaii. She was laughing, her hair blowing in the wind, looking at me like I was her whole world. Was that all fake? Was any of it real? I closed my eyes and pressed the call button. She answered after 2 rings. "Hey honey, you on your way home?" This was it. No turning back now. I made my voice sound shaky and upset. "Sarah, something terrible happened today." "What? What's wrong?" She sounded concerned, but was it real concern? I got fired. Mr. Patterson called me into his office and, "I'm fired, Sarah. I lost my job." I even managed to make my voice crack a little, like I was about to cry. There was silence on the other end. Long, terrible silence. "Sarah? Are you there?" I asked. Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Her voice sounded strange. Not sad. Not worried. Just surprised. "Can you come home? I really need you right now," I said, really playing up the sad husband role. Yeah, sure. I'm actually out right now, but I'll head back soon. Maybe in an hour. Out? It was 5 p.m. on a Friday. Where was she? Where are you? I asked. Just running some errands. I'll tell you when I get home. See you soon. She hung up quickly. I stared at my phone. That was not the reaction of a loving, supportive wife. That was the reaction of someone who just got bad news that ruined their plans. Marcus was right. Something was definitely going on. I drove home slowly, my mind spinning with 1,000 thoughts. When I got to our house, a small 2-bedroom house we bought last year, Sarah's car wasn't in the driveway yet. Good. That gave me time to prepare. I went inside and sat on the couch, but I couldn't sit still. I paced back and forth in the living room, my heart racing faster and faster. About 45 minutes later, I heard her car pull into the driveway. I quickly sat back down on the couch and put my head in my hands, trying to look devastated. Sarah walked in and I looked up at her. She was wearing jeans and a nice blouse. Casual, but she had makeup on. Why would she have makeup on if she was just running errands? Hey, she said softly, putting her purse on the kitchen counter. So, you got fired? I nodded sadly. Yeah, they said they're downsizing and I'm out. Just like that. 7 years, Sarah. 7 years of hard work. And they just threw me away. She stood there, kind of awkwardly, like she wasn't sure what to do. Then she came over and sat next to me on the couch. She patted my back a few times. That's really rough, Michael. I'm sorry. That was it. Just, I'm sorry. No hug. No, we'll get through this together. No, everything will be okay. What are we going to do? I asked, looking at her. The mortgage, the car payments, all our bills. My salary paid for everything. Something flickered in her eyes. Was that annoyance? Worry? Couldn't tell. We'll figure it out, she said. But her voice sounded flat. Maybe you can get unemployment or something. Look, I'm really tired. I think I'm gonna go lie down for a bit. She stood up and walked toward our bedroom before I could say anything else. I sat there stunned. That was not how a wife should react when her husband loses his job. Where was the support? The comfort? The "we're in this together" speech? My chest felt tight with anger and sadness. But I needed to know more. I needed to know the truth. I waited about 5 minutes. Then I quietly stood up and walked toward the bedroom. The door was closed, but not all the way. There was a small gap, and that's when I heard it. Her voice, talking on the phone. Quiet, but I could hear her if I stood very still. Thank God he finally got fired, Sarah said, and I could hear the excitement in her voice. Now we can finally move forward with our plans. My hand grabbed the wall to steady myself. I felt dizzy, like the floor was tilting under my feet. She continued talking. Yes, I already talked to him about it. Once Michael thinks he has no options left, he'll agree to anything. The house, the car, everything will be ours. He won't even see it coming. Who was she talking to? Who was him? And what plans? I heard her laugh. Actually laugh. A light, happy laugh. I know. I just have to be patient a little longer. He's so predictable, it's almost too easy. He trusts me completely. Well, trusted. Past tense, right? She laughed again. My vision went blurry with tears. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be real. The woman I married, the woman I loved more than anything, was planning something against me. And she was happy I lost my job, except I didn't actually lose my job. This was supposed to be a test, but now, how much longer do you think? She asked whoever was on the phone. Yeah, that works. No, he won't suspect anything. He's too nice, too trusting. That's always been his weakness. Too trusting. Too nice. The words felt like knives in my heart. Okay, I should go. He's in the living room probably crying or something. She said this like it was funny. Like my pain was a joke to her. I'll text you later. Love you too. Bye. Love you too. She told someone else she loved them. I stumbled backward, my hand over my mouth to keep from making any sound. Couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Everything I believed about my life, my marriage, my wife. It was all a lie. I walked back to the living room on shaky legs and collapsed on the couch. My mind was racing. Sarah was planning something with someone else. She wanted the house, the car, everything. She was happy I got fired because it fit into her plans somehow. She was working with someone, probably that man Marcus saw her with at the restaurant. But what was she planning exactly? Divorce? Stealing everything from me? Something worse? I heard the bedroom door open. Sarah walked out, and she had changed into comfortable clothes, sweatpants, and a t-shirt. She looked at me and gave me a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Feeling any better?" she asked. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to tell her I heard everything. But something stopped me. No, if she was planning something against me, I needed to know exactly what it was. I needed evidence. I needed to protect myself. So I put on the best acting performance of my life. "Not really," I said in a sad, defeated voice. "I don't know what we're going to do, Sarah. Maybe we need to make some big changes. Sell the house? Move somewhere cheaper." Her eyes lit up. Just for a second, but I saw it. That was what she wanted. "Well, let's not make any big decisions right now," she said. "You just lost your job. Give it a few days, and we can talk about our options." Our options. She said our, but she meant her. "Yeah, you're right," I said, looking down at the floor. I'm really scared, Sarah. What if I can't find another job? What if we lose everything?" She came over and sat next to me again. This time she put her arm around my shoulders, but it felt cold. Fake, like she was acting too. "Don't worry so much," she said. "I'll take care of you. We're a team. Remember? A team." That word used to mean everything to me. Now it just sounded like another lie. "I'm going to make us some dinner," she said, standing up. "You just rest, okay?" I nodded and watched her walk into the kitchen. As soon as her back was turned, my sad expression disappeared. My hands clenched into fists on my lap. She wanted to play games? Fine. Two could play that game. But I needed help. I needed to be smart about this. I pulled out my phone and texted Marcus. "You were right. It's worse than we thought. Way worse. I need your help. Can you come over tomorrow? Don't tell anyone." His reply came back in seconds. "I'll be there. 10 a.m. Stay strong, brother." Dinner was the most uncomfortable meal of my entire life. Sarah made spaghetti, which used to be my favorite. But now it tasted like sand in my mouth. She tried to make conversation. "So, did Mr. Patterson say why they're downsizing?" I had to keep up the lie. "Something about budget cuts and the economy. They're letting go of 5 managers." She said, twirling pasta on her fork. "That's too bad. Too bad." Like I had dropped a glass of water, not lost my entire career. "Did he say anything about severance pay?" she asked. There it was. She wanted to know about the money. "He said I'd get 2 months of salary." "It's not much, but it's something," I said. She nodded, and I saw her doing math in her head. 2 months. About $12,000 after taxes. "Well, that will help while you look for something new," she said. But her tone said something different. Her tone said, "Good. That's more money for my plans." After dinner, she said she was tired and went to bed early. I told her I'd stay up for a while and watch TV, but I didn't turn on the TV. Instead, I sat in the dark living room, thinking, planning. I pulled out my laptop and started researching. I looked up divorce laws in our state. I looked up how to protect assets. I even looked up private investigators who could find out who Sarah was really spending her time with. At one point, I heard her phone buzz in the bedroom. Then I heard her get up and go to the bathroom. She was texting someone. At 11 p.m., while her devastated husband sat alone in the living room. My heart broke all over again. How long had she been doing this? How long had she been pretending to love me while planning? Whatever she was planning, I remembered our wedding day, her vows. "I promise to love you in good times and bad times, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health." Lies. All lies. Finally, around midnight, I went to bed. Sarah was already asleep, or pretending to be. I lay on my side of the bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was sleeping next to a stranger. Tomorrow, Marcus would come over. Together, we'd figure out what to do next. But tonight, I had to lie here, next to the woman who was betraying me, and pretend everything was fine. It was the longest night of my life. I didn't sleep at all that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Sarah's voice saying those words. Thank God he finally got fired. Everything will be ours. He won't even see it coming. At 6 a.m., I gave up trying to sleep. I quietly got out of bed, being careful not to wake Sarah. I went to the kitchen and made coffee with shaking hands. The sun was just starting to come up, painting the sky orange and pink through our kitchen window. This used to be my favorite time of day. Sarah would wake up, come shuffle into the kitchen in her pajamas, and we'd drink coffee together while watching the sunrise. She'd lean her head on my shoulder, and we'd talk about nothing and everything. Now, looking at that sunrise just made me feel empty inside. I heard movement from the bedroom. Sarah was awake. She came into the kitchen a few minutes later, yawning. Her hair was messy from sleep, and she was wearing one of my old t-shirts. She used to look so cute like this. Now I just felt sick looking at her. You're up early, she said, pouring herself coffee. Couldn't sleep, I said, which was the truth. Been thinking about the job situation. She nodded, sipping her coffee. It'll be okay. You'll find something new. Her words were nice, but her tone was flat, like she was reading lines from a script. I'm going to start applying to jobs today, I said, watching her reaction carefully. Maybe I'll hear back from someone quickly. Get back on my feet fast. For just a second, just a tiny moment, I saw something flash across her face. Disappointment? Worry? Oh, well, don't rush it, she said quickly. You should take some time to figure out what you really want to do. Maybe this is a sign that you need a career change. Career change. That would take months. Maybe years. That would keep me unemployed longer. Maybe, I said, pretending to consider it. I'll think about it. She smiled, but it didn't look real. I'm going to take a shower. Want to watch a movie later? We could have a lazy Saturday. Actually, Marcus is coming over at 10, I said. Guy time, to help me feel better about everything. Oh, she looked annoyed for a second, but then smiled again. That's nice. I'll probably go out for a bit then. Give you boys some space. Of course she would go out. Probably to meet whoever she was planning with. Where are you going? I asked, trying to sound casual. Just the mall. Maybe get my nails done. Nothing special. She finished her coffee and headed back to the bedroom. I sat there, gripping my coffee mug so hard my knuckles turned white. Every word out of her mouth was probably a lie. The mall. Nails. Nothing special. Sure. At exactly 10 a.m., I heard Marcus's truck pull into the driveway. Sarah had left about 30 minutes earlier, dressed nice again, too nice for just going to the mall. I opened the door before Marcus could knock. He took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. You look terrible, man, he said. I feel terrible, I admitted. We went inside and sat at the kitchen table. I made more coffee while I told Marcus everything. Every single detail. Sarah's phone call. Her reaction to my firing. The weird questions about money. Everything. Marcus listened without interrupting, his face getting angrier and angrier. When I finished, he slammed his hand on the table. That backstabbing, lying no good. He stopped himself and took a deep breath. Sorry. I'm just so mad for you, Mike. You don't deserve this. I need to know what she's planning, I said. I need to know who she's working with. I need evidence. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, let's think about this logically. First question. Who's the guy I saw her with at the restaurant? I don't know. She doesn't talk about her friends much. At least not real friends. She always mentions Lisa, but I've never actually met Lisa. Never even seen a picture of her. Lisa probably doesn't exist, Marcus said. It's code for whoever she's really meeting. That made my stomach hurt, but he was probably right. We need to follow her, Marcus said. Find out where she really goes, who she really meets with. Follow her? Like, Spy on her. I felt uncomfortable with that idea. Mike, she's literally plotting against you. She's planning to take your house, your car, everything you worked for. You have every right to know what she's doing. He was right. I had to protect myself. Okay, I said. But how? She knows my car. She'd spot me following her. Marcus grinned. She doesn't know my car. I just got a new truck last month. Remember? She's never seen it. We can use my truck. When do we start? Next time she goes out. You said she goes out every Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday nights. That's her regular schedule. But she also goes out randomly during the day too. Marcus thought for a moment. Okay, here's what we do. You text me whenever she leaves the house. I'll pick you up around the corner and we'll follow her. We'll take pictures of where she goes and who she meets. That'll be our evidence. It sounded like a plan. A scary plan, but a plan. There's something else, I said. Her phone. She changed her password. She takes it everywhere now, even to the bathroom. I need to see what's on that phone. That's trickier, Marcus said. You can't just steal it. She'd notice immediately. What if I could get into it when she's asleep? Does she sleep heavy? I thought about it. Pretty heavy, especially if she's tired. Then maybe, but you'd have to be really careful. If she catches you. I know, but I have to try. We spent the next hour making plans. Marcus showed me an app one could download that would let me back up all the data from Sarah's phone to my laptop, if I could get into her phone for just 10 minutes. The app is invisible, Marcus explained. Once you install it, it runs in the background. You can see all her texts, calls, everything. But you need to physically access the phone first to install it. How do you know about all this stuff? I asked. Marcus looked embarrassed. My ex-girlfriend cheated on me 2 years ago. I went down a rabbit hole of research trying to catch her. Eventually I did. She was seeing her personal trainer. He shook his head. It sucked, but at least I found out the truth before I married her. I'm sorry, man. I didn't know. It's okay. Water under the bridge now. But the point is, I learned a lot about how to catch a cheater. And I'm going to help you catch yours. We decided to try to get into Sarah's phone that very night. I was nervous, but I couldn't wait any longer. Every day that passed, Sarah could be moving forward with her plans. Sarah came home around 3 p.m., carrying shopping bags from the mall. Or at least she said they were from the mall. Did you have fun with Marcus? She asked, setting the bags down. Yeah, it helped. Talking about guy stuff, you know? That's good. She smiled at me and I wanted to believe that smile was real. But I knew better now. That evening we had dinner and watched TV together like normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. I kept catching her texting someone and smiling. Every time I looked at her, she'd quickly lock her phone and put it face down. Around 11 p.m., she yawned. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. I'll be there soon, I said. I want to finish this episode. She nodded and went to the bedroom. I waited. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I had to wait until she was fully asleep. That usually took about 30 minutes. I looked at my watch. 11:15 p.m. 11:30 p.m. 11:45 p.m. Finally, at midnight, I turned off the TV and crept toward the bedroom. I opened the door as quietly as possible. Sarah was lying on her side, breathing deeply. Her phone was on the nightstand next to her, plugged into the charger. This was it. I tiptoed across the room, barely breathing. Every creak of the floorboard sounded like an explosion in the silence. I reached the nightstand and slowly, carefully picked up her phone. The screen lit up, showing the lock screen. It was a picture of us from last year, both smiling at the camera. Looking at that picture felt like looking at ghosts. Those happy people didn't exist anymore. Now came the hard part. I needed to guess her new password. I tried her birthday first. 0524. Wrong. My birthday. 0816. Wrong. Our anniversary. 0622. Wrong. I was running out of ideas. What else could it be? Then I remembered something. Last month, Sarah got a new necklace. It had a date engraved on it. I asked her what the date meant, and she said it was just a pretty number. The date was 0913. I tried it, 0-9-1-3. The phone unlocked. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. September 13th. What happened on September 13th? Why was that date important enough to be her password? I quickly opened her Photos app, but my hands were trembling too much. I took a deep breath. Focus, Michael. Focus. But then I heard it. Sarah stirred in her sleep. I froze, my heart stopping completely. She shifted position, rolling onto her back. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I was a statue holding her phone in my shaking hands. She mumbled something in her sleep. Then she settled down again, her breathing returning to that deep, steady rhythm. I waited another minute to make sure she was really asleep. Then I carefully, slowly backed out of the room and went to the living room. My laptop was on the coffee table. I sat down and connected Sarah's phone to it with a cable. The app Marcus told me about was already downloaded on my laptop. I just needed to install it on her phone. The app started installing. The progress bar moved painfully slow. 10%, 20%, 30%, come on, come on, come on. 40%, 50%. I kept glancing at the bedroom door, terrified Sarah would wake up and come looking for her phone. 60%, 70%, 80%, almost there. 90%, 95%. Installation complete appeared on the screen. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. I quickly disconnected the phone and tiptoed back to the bedroom. Sarah was still sleeping in the same position. I placed the phone exactly where it had been on the nightstand, still plugged into the charger. Then I slowly backed away and returned to the living room. I collapsed onto the couch, my whole body shaking with adrenaline. I did it. The app was installed. I opened my laptop and launched the monitoring program. Within seconds, Sarah's phone data started syncing to my computer. Messages, calls, photos, everything. I opened the messages first. There were texts to lots of people, her mom, her sister, some friends. Normal stuff. But then I saw a conversation that made my blood run cold. The contact name was just a heart emoji. Red heart. I clicked on it. The messages went back months. Months. Since July 15th. Red heart. I can't stop thinking about you. Sarah, me too. Today was amazing. Red heart. When can I see you again? Sarah, Thursday. Same as always. Never suspects a thing. That was me. Michael. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely scroll. July 22nd. Sarah. I feel bad lying to him. Red heart. Don't. He doesn't appreciate you like I do. You deserve better. Sarah, you're right. I just need to be patient. Red heart. Once we get the house and everything sorted, we can finally be together properly. There it was. In writing. They were planning to take my house. I kept scrolling, feeling sicker with every message. August 10th. Red heart. Did you talk to the lawyer? Sarah. Yes. He said if M is unemployed, it strengthens my case in the divorce. I'd get the house for sure since I'd need stability. Red heart. Perfect. Now we just need to make him lose his job. Sarah. I can't exactly make him get fired. Red heart. No, but you can make him want to quit. Make him miserable. Stress him out. People under stress make mistakes at work. Sarah. I'll try. I felt like I was going to throw up. They were trying to sabotage my career. My whole life. August 30th. Sarah. I've been picking fights with him more. He seems stressed. Red heart. Good. Keep it up. Sarah. Sometimes I feel guilty. Red heart. Don't. Remember, he's boring. He's holding you back from your real life. From us. Sarah, you're right. I love you. Red heart. Love you too. Beautiful. Boring. I was boring. That's why she was doing this to me. Because I wasn't exciting enough. I thought about all those nights I worked late to pay our bills. All those times I surprised her with flowers. All those morning coffees we shared. All those promises we made. And I was boring. September 13th. Red heart. Happy 6 months. baby. Best 6 months of my life. Sarah, mine too. I wish we didn't have to hide. Redheart, soon we won't have to. Once the divorce goes through and we get the assets transferred, we can be together openly. Sarah, I changed my phone password to today's date, 0913. So I think of you every time I unlock my phone. Redheart, that's so sweet. I love you so much. September 13th. 6 months ago. They'd been together for 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of betrayal. 6 months of planning to destroy my life. I kept reading. There were hundreds of messages. Making plans to meet up. Talking about their future together. Laughing about how clueless I was. October 3rd. Sarah. M said he loves his job and never wants to leave. This is going to be harder than we thought. Redheart. What if he had an accident at work? Nothing serious, but enough to make him want to quit? Sarah. That's too risky. We have to be smart. Redheart. You're right. We'll think of something. They were talking about causing me an accident. An accident. These people were insane. October 20th. Redheart. I have an idea. What if you convinced him to start his own business? He'd have to quit his job, and starting a business is risky. Good chance it would fail, leaving him with nothing. Sarah. That could work. He's always talking about being his own boss someday. Redheart. Plant the seed. Make him think it's his idea. Sarah. Okay. I'll try this week. I remembered that conversation. About 3 weeks ago, Sarah had asked me out of nowhere if I ever thought about starting my own business. I said maybe someday, but not now. She'd seemed disappointed. Now I knew why. I needed to know who this person was. Who was Redheart? I scrolled up to the very beginning of their conversation. The first message. July 13th. Unknown number. Hey, it's David from the art class. Great meeting you today. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? Sarah. I'd love to, but I should tell you, I'm married. David, that's okay. Just coffee. As friends. Sarah. Okay. Just as friends. Smiley face. David. His name was David. And they met at an art class. I didn't even know Sarah was taking art classes. She never mentioned it. I went to her photos and scrolled through. There were hundreds of pictures of her and this David guy. At restaurants. Parks. At hotels. Hotels. My wife was taking pictures with another man at hotels. David looked exactly like Marcus described. Tall, maybe 40, expensive clothes. He had gray at his temples and a smile that made me want to punch my laptop screen. In one photo, they were holding hands across a dinner table. In another, Sarah was kissing his cheek. In another, I had to look away. It was too much. I felt tears running down my face, but I wasn't sad. I was angry, furious. More angry than I'd ever been in my entire life. This man, this David, had stolen my wife, had convinced her to betray me, had made plans to take everything I worked for, and Sarah had gone along with it. She'd chosen him over me. I kept looking through the messages, learning more about David. He was 38 years old. He owned a car dealership in the city. He was divorced with no kids. He had money, lots of money, of course. Sarah wanted someone with money, someone exciting, someone who wasn't boring old Michael who went to work every day and came home tired. November 8th, just a few days ago. David. So he still hasn't lost his job? Sarah. No. He's too good at what he does. They'll never fire him. David. Then we need a new plan. What if you told him you wanted a divorce? We could skip all this waiting. Sarah. No way. If I just ask for a divorce while he's employed, he'd get to keep half of everything. The lawyer said we need him to be unemployed first. Then I can claim I need the house because he can't provide stability. David. This is taking forever. I want you to move in with me already. Sarah. I know, baby. I want that too. Let me think of something. November 15th. Yesterday. David. What if you pushed him to do something drastic? Make him think his life is falling apart? Sarah. Like what? David. I don't know. You know him better than I do. What would break him? Sarah. Losing his job would destroy him. His job is everything to him. David. Then we need to make that happen somehow. And then, yesterday, I had pretended to lose my job. I'd walked right into their trap without knowing it. But the joke was on them, because I didn't actually lose my job. And now I knew everything. I spent the rest of the night reading through all the messages, taking screenshots of everything. Evidence. I needed evidence for when this went to court, because it was definitely going to court now. By the time the sun came up, I had hundreds of screenshots, messages, photos, everything. Proof of the affair. Proof of their plans. Proof that Sarah was trying to manipulate me. At 7 a.m., Sarah woke up. I quickly closed my laptop and pretended to be watching TV. She came into the living room, yawning. "Did you sleep out here?" "Yeah. Didn't want to wake you up when I came to bed late." She nodded, seeming to accept that. "Want some breakfast?" "Sure." We ate breakfast together in silence. Well, she ate. I just pushed food around my plate, my mind racing with everything I'd learned. "You okay?" she asked. "Just worried about money." I lied. "About the future." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "It'll be okay. I promise." Her hand felt cold, dead, like a stranger touching me. "Yeah," I said. "It'll be okay." After breakfast, Sarah said she had errands to run again. More lies. She was probably meeting David. "Actually, I'll come with you," I said suddenly. She looked startled. "What? Why?" "I don't want to sit home alone all day being depressed. Let's spend time together." We barely see each other anymore. I could see panic in her eyes. I'm just going to boring places. The grocery store, the post office." "That's fine. I don't mind." "No, really, you should stay home and rest. You've had a stressful week." She was practically begging me not to come, which meant she was definitely meeting David. "Okay," I said, backing off. "You're right. I'll just stay here." She looked relieved. "Great. I'll be back in a few hours." As soon as she left, I texted Marcus. "She just left. I know where she's going and who she's meeting. We need to follow her. Can you pick me up now?" Marcus replied immediately, "On my way. Be there in 10 minutes." I grabbed my phone and laptop and waited by the door. True to his word, Marcus pulled up exactly 10 minutes later in his new truck. I jumped in. Go, go. We can't lose her." "Where's she headed?" Marcus asked, pulling out of my driveway fast. "I don't know yet, but I hacked her phone last night. I can track her location." I opened the monitoring app on my laptop. A map appeared showing a blue dot, Sarah's phone, moving through the city. "She's heading downtown," I said, "toward the business district." Marcus followed my directions as we tracked Sarah's dot on the map. My heart was pounding. Finally, I was going to see them together with my own eyes. "Turn left here," I said. "She's stopping. Looks like the Grand Hotel parking lot." The Grand Hotel was one of the fanciest hotels in the city. Rooms cost $300 a night minimum. Marcus parked across the street where we had a good view of the parking lot. We waited. About 5 minutes later, I saw Sarah's car pull in. She parked and got out, wearing a pretty blue dress I'd never seen before. When did she buy that? She walked toward the hotel entrance, her heels clicking on the pavement. "There she is," I whispered, even though we were far away and she couldn't possibly hear us. Then another car pulled into the lot. A silver Mercedes. Expensive. A man got out. Tall, gray hair at the temples, expensive suit. "David." Sarah walked up to David and they hugged. Then he leaned down and kissed her. Not a friendly kiss. A real kiss. The kind of kiss she used to give me. I felt Marcus's hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry, man." I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Seeing it in messages was one thing, but watching my wife kiss another man in real life was completely different. They walked into the hotel together, holding hands. "Should we follow them inside?" Marcus asked. "No," I said, my voice sounding strange and far away. "I know what they're doing in there. I don't need to see that." We sat in the truck in silence for a long time. I took photos with my phone, Sarah's car, David's Mercedes, the license plates, everything. "What are you going to do?" Marcus finally asked. I'm going to destroy them, I said quietly. Both of them. Mike. They wanted to take everything from me, Marcus. My job, my house, my money. They were planning to leave me with nothing. Well, now it's my turn. What's your plan? I thought about it. I had evidence of the affair. I had messages proving they were trying to manipulate me. But was that enough? First, I'm going to a lawyer, I said. Monday morning, first thing. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm showing them everything I found. With proof of her affair and her plans to defraud me, she won't get anything. Not the house, not the car, nothing. Good. What else? Then I'm going to make sure David's life gets complicated too. He owns a car dealership, right? I wonder how his business partners would feel knowing he's sleeping with married women and helping them commit fraud. Marcus grinned. Now that's the Mike I know. Fight back. I'm not the boring, predictable, clueless husband they think I am, I said. They're about to find out who they're really dealing with. We waited outside the hotel for 2 hours. Finally, Sarah and David came out, both looking happy and relaxed. They kissed goodbye, and Sarah got in her car and drove away. Follow him, I told Marcus. David? Yeah, I want to know where he lives, where he works, everything about him. Marcus followed David's Mercedes through the city. He drove to a nice part of town, the rich part, and pulled into the driveway of a huge house. The kind of house with a 3-car garage and a fountain in the front yard. Wow, Marcus said. That's like $1 million house. Take pictures, I said. Marcus took photos of the house, the address, everything. Then David got out of his car and went inside. Now what? Marcus asked. Now we go back to my place. Sarah will be home soon, and I need to act like I've been there all day, sad and depressed about losing my job. You're really going to keep pretending? Just until Monday. I want to talk to a lawyer first and make sure I do everything right. Then, I smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Then Sarah and David are going to get a big surprise. Marcus dropped me off around the corner from my house. I walked home, preparing myself to see Sarah again and pretend like nothing was wrong. When I opened the door, Sarah was sitting on the couch watching TV. Hey, she said, smiling. I'm home. Hey, I said. How were your errands? Fine. Boring. You know, just the usual stuff. Lies. All lies. Did you have lunch yet? She asked. I could make us sandwiches. Sure, that sounds good. We sat in the kitchen eating sandwiches together. Sarah talked about random things, a sale at the mall, something funny she saw online. I nodded and pretended to listen, but inside I was screaming. This woman sat across from me, smiling and making casual conversation, just hours after she'd been at a hotel with her lover. How could she do that? How could she switch it on and off so easily? Michael, she said. I snapped back to reality. Huh. I asked if you're feeling any better about the job thing. Oh, not really. I'm trying not to think about it. She nodded sympathetically. That's probably smart. Give yourself a break this weekend. Yeah. That night was even worse. Sarah wanted to watch a movie and cuddle on the couch. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, just like old times. But it wasn't like old times, because now I knew the truth. Now I knew that while she was cuddling with me, she was probably texting David, planning their next meeting. Around 10 p.m., her phone buzzed. She looked at it and smiled. Who is it? I asked casually. Oh, just my mom. She's asking about you, how you're handling the job loss. Another lie. I watched her type a response, and even though I couldn't see the screen, I knew she was texting David. Later that night, I checked the monitoring app on my laptop while Sarah slept. David. Did he suspect anything? Sarah. Not at all. He actually seems more depressed than I expected. I almost feel bad. David, don't. Remember the plan. We're so close now. Sarah. I know. Just a few more weeks. Then we can finally be together for real. David. I can't wait. I love you. Sarah. I love you too. I closed the laptop and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow was Sunday. One more day of pretending. Then Monday, I'd go see a lawyer and start fighting back. But tonight, I had to sleep next to my enemy and pretend she was still my wife. Sunday morning, Sarah woke up in a really good mood. She made a big breakfast, pancakes, eggs, bacon, the whole thing. "What's all this?" I asked. "I just wanted to do something nice for you," she said. "You've been so down lately. I thought a good breakfast might help." She sat across from me, smiling, and I realized something horrible. She felt good about what she was doing. She thought she was winning. She thought her plan was working perfectly. "This is really nice, Sarah. Thank you." "Of course. We're a team. Remember? That word again. Team." It made me want to flip the table. After breakfast, Sarah said she wanted to go for a walk. "It's such a beautiful day. Let's go to the park, like we used to." We hadn't been to the park together in over a year. Why was she suddenly being so nice? Then I realized. She was keeping me happy and distracted while she finalized her plans. Make me think everything was fine between us so I wouldn't suspect anything. Too late for that. We went to the park and walked around the lake. Sarah held my hand and talked about random memories from when we first started dating. "Remember our third date?" she said. "When you tried to impress me by renting a canoe, but you kept steering us in circles?" I did remember. We'd laughed so hard that day. I'd been so embarrassed, but Sarah said it was the most fun she'd ever had. Was any of that real? Or was she always looking for someone better, richer, more exciting? "I remember," I said quietly. She squeezed my hand. "Those were good times." Were. Past tense. When we got home, Sarah's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face went pale for just a second. "I need to take this," she said, walking quickly to the bedroom and closing the door. I crept close to the door and listened. "I can't talk right now," she whispered urgently. "He's right outside." "No, I don't know when." "David, please," I said, "I can't talk." "Fine. I'll call you later." "Yes, I miss you too. Bye." She came out of the bedroom with a fake smile plastered on her face. "Sorry, that was my sister. She's having some drama with her boyfriend." "Everything okay?" I asked, even though I knew exactly who it was. "Yeah, just typical relationship stuff. Nothing serious." More lies. That evening, we ordered pizza and watched TV. Normal Sunday night stuff. But nothing was normal. Everything was fake. Our whole life together was fake. Around 11 p.m., I decided I couldn't take it anymore. "Sarah, can I ask you something?" She looked at me. "Sure, what's up? Are you happy? Like with us? With our marriage?" She looked surprised by the question. "Of course I am. Why would you ask that?" "I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we're not as close as we used to be." She moved closer to me on the couch and took my hand. "Michael, I love you. We're going through a rough patch right now with your job situation, but we'll get through it. We always do." I looked into her eyes, searching for any hint of truth. But all I saw was a stranger wearing my wife's face. "Promise," I said. "I promise," she said, and then she kissed me. It was the worst kiss of my life, because I knew she'd been kissing someone else. I knew that "I love you" was a lie. I knew everything, but I kissed her back and pretended to believe her, because I needed one more day. Just one more day, and then this nightmare would finally start to end. After Sarah fell asleep, I went to the living room and pulled out my laptop. I had spent all weekend gathering evidence. Now I needed to organize it for the lawyer. I created a folder with everything. Screenshots of all the messages between Sarah and David. Photos of them together at the hotel. The tracking data showing her real locations versus where she said she was going. Messages proving they were planning to manipulate me into losing my job. Photos of David's house and car. Everything. I also wrote down a timeline of events. When the affair started. When they began planning against me. Everything in order. Then I looked up the best divorce lawyers in the city. I found one named Margaret Chin who specialized in cases involving adultery and fraud. Her reviews said she was ruthless but fair, and doesn't let cheaters win. Perfect. I sent her an email at 1 a.m., not expecting a response until Monday morning. "Dear Ms. Chun, I need an emergency consultation. I have proof my wife is having an affair and planning to defraud me in a divorce. I have extensive evidence including messages, photos, and location data. Can I see you first thing Monday morning? Regards, Michael Torres. To my surprise, I got an email back 15 minutes later. Mr. Torres, I can see you at 8 a.m. Monday morning. Bring all your evidence. If it's as solid as you say, we can file papers by end of day. Margaret Chen, ESQ. I sat back on the couch, feeling something I hadn't felt in days. Hope. Tomorrow everything would change. Tomorrow I would stop being the victim and start fighting back. Tomorrow Sarah and David would learn that I wasn't as clueless and boring as they thought. I barely slept Sunday night. My mind kept racing, going over everything that was about to happen. At 6 a.m., I gave up on sleep completely and got out of bed. Sarah was still sleeping peacefully, her brown hair spread across the pillow. She had no idea this was the last morning she'd wake up as my wife. I got dressed quietly, my best suit, the navy blue one I wore to important meetings. Today was the most important meeting of my life. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, watching the sunrise one last time in this house that would soon not be ours anymore. Just mine. At 6:30, Sarah shuffled into the kitchen, yawning. You're up early, she said. And wearing a suit? Where are you going? This was it. The first lie I'd tell her, just like she'd been lying to me for months. I have a job interview, I said. Remember Dave from my old department? He moved to a different company last year and texted me yesterday saying they have an opening. It's last minute, but I figured I should try. Sarah's face fell. A job interview? Already? Yeah. I can't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. Right? We need money. I watched her carefully. She was trying to smile, but I could see the panic in her eyes. If I got a new job, her whole plan would fall apart. That's great, she said, her voice not matching her words. What time is the interview? 8 a.m. I should get going soon. Traffic and all. Oh, okay. Well, good luck. Thanks. I finished my coffee and grabbed my keys. I'll text you when it's over. Okay. I love you. Those words used to mean everything to me. Now they just sounded empty. Love you too, I said, and walked out the door. As soon as I got in my car, I let out a huge breath. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. This was really happening. I drove downtown to Margaret Chen's office building. It was a tall glass tower in the business district. Her office was on the 15th floor. When I walked into the waiting room at 7:55 a.m., a secretary greeted me with a professional smile. Mr. Torres? Yes. Ms. Chun is ready for you. Right this way. She led me down a hallway to a corner office with huge windows overlooking the city. Behind a massive desk sat a woman in her 50s with short black hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. Margaret Chen stood up and shook my hand firmly. Mr. Torres, please, sit down. I sat in the chair across from her desk, clutching my laptop bag with all my evidence. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice, I said. Your email intrigued me, she said, sitting back down. You said you have proof of adultery and fraud. Let me see what you have. I opened my laptop and turned it toward her. For the next hour, I showed her everything. Every message, every photo, the timeline, the tracking data, everything. Margaret Chen didn't say much as she looked through it all. She just nodded occasionally and made notes on a legal pad. Her face stayed completely neutral. I couldn't tell what she was thinking. Finally, she sat back in her chair and looked at me. Mr. Torres, this is one of the most comprehensive evidence packages I've ever seen in an adultery case. Is it enough? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She smiled. Not a warm smile, but a satisfied one, like a hunter who just spotted prey. It's more than enough. Your wife and her boyfriend have made several critical mistakes. First, they documented their affair extensively in writing. Second, they explicitly discussed plans to defraud you. Third, they attempted to manipulate you into losing your job to strengthen her divorce case. Fourth, she paused. You said you never actually lost your job, correct? Correct. I lied about being fired to test her reaction. Brilliant. So she thinks you're unemployed and vulnerable, but you're not. That means when we file for divorce, you'll have full income and she'll have none. The court will see her affair, her plans to commit fraud, and her attempt to manipulate you. She won't get the house. She won't get alimony. She'll be lucky if she gets anything except escorted off the property. I felt tears in my eyes, but they were tears of relief. So I can protect myself. Mr. Torres, you can do more than protect yourself. You can make sure she faces consequences for what she tried to do. Now, let's talk about this David character. You said he owns a car dealership? Yes, luxury cars, I think. In the north part of the city. Margaret made another note. Interesting. Business owners can be sued for something called alienation of affection in some circumstances. Essentially, if we can prove he deliberately seduced your wife and destroyed your marriage for his own gain, he could face financial penalties. Really? I felt a surge of satisfaction. David thought he was so smart, so untouchable with his money and his fancy house. But he wasn't above the law. Really? But that's a separate lawsuit. For now, let's focus on the divorce. I'm going to draft the papers today. We'll file them by 5 p.m. Your wife will be served with divorce papers tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. My heart started racing. That was so fast. The faster we move, the less time she has to hide assets or plan a defense. Speed is your friend here, Mr. Torres. I nodded. Okay. What do I need to do? Go home. Act normal. Don't let her know anything is wrong. Can you do that for one more day? One more day of lying. One more day of pretending. Yes, I said. I can do that. Good. Tomorrow morning, a process server will arrive at your home around 9 a.m. to serve her the papers. I recommend you not be home when that happens. Stay somewhere else. A friend's house maybe. Things could get emotional. I'll stay with my friend Marcus. Margaret smiled. Perfect. I'll call you tomorrow after she's been served. Do you have any questions? I had a million questions, but my mind was blank. What about David? When does he find out? That depends on you. You could tell him yourself, or let him find out when your wife calls him crying. Either way, his life is about to get very complicated. Especially if we pursue the alienation of affection lawsuit. I want to pursue it, I said firmly. He tried to destroy my life. He should face consequences. Then we will. Now go home, Mr. Torres. And whatever happens tonight, stay calm. Don't confront her. Don't let her know you know. Can you promise me that? I promise. I left Margaret Chen's office feeling like a completely different person. For the first time in a week, I felt powerful. In control. Like I wasn't just a victim anymore. When I got home around 10 a.m., Sarah was in the living room on her laptop. She looked up when I walked in. How did the interview go? She asked, her voice full of fake concern. Really well, I said, smiling. They offered me the job on the spot. Her face went completely white. What? Already? Yeah. Isn't that great? The salary is even better than my old job. I start next Monday. I watched her try to process this information. Her whole plan was falling apart, and she didn't even know the worst was yet to come. That's amazing, Michael. Congratulations. She stood up and hugged me, but her body was stiff, uncomfortable. I know, right? Everything's working out. See? I was worried for nothing. We're going to be fine. Yeah, she said weakly. We're going to be fine. But her eyes told a different story. Her eyes were panicked. I spent the rest of the day pretending everything was normal. We had lunch together, watched TV. Sarah kept checking her phone nervously and excusing herself to make calls in the bedroom. Through the monitoring app on my laptop, I could see exactly who she was texting. Sarah, we have a huge problem. David, what happened? Sarah, he got a new job. Like immediately. He starts next week. David. What? How? Sarah. I don't know. He said some friend offered him a position. The plan is falling apart, David. What do we do? David, stay calm. Let me think. Maybe we can still make this work. Sarah, How? If he's employed, I can't claim I need the house. The lawyer said, David, I know what the lawyer said. Just give me time to think of something. Sarah, I'm scared. What if he starts to suspect something? David, he won't. He's too trusting. Too stupid. We'll figure this out. Too stupid. There was that word again. They really thought I was an idiot. Tomorrow they would learn how wrong they were. That evening, Sarah made a fancy dinner. Steak, roasted vegetables, even a bottle of wine. She was trying to celebrate my new job. But I knew the truth. She was trying to keep me happy and unsuspecting while she and David came up with a new plan. We sat across from each other at the dining table, the same table where we'd eaten hundreds of meals together, where we'd laughed and talked about our days, where we'd made plans for our future. All of it had been a lie, or at least it had become a lie somewhere along the way. To new beginnings, Sarah said, raising her wine glass. To new beginnings, I repeated, clinking my glass against hers. If only she knew how true those words were. After dinner, we watched a movie on the couch. Sarah snuggled up next to me, her head on my shoulder. She was trying so hard to act normal, to act like the loving wife. But I could feel her phone vibrating in her pocket every few minutes. David, probably. Texting her, making new plans. Around 11 p.m., Sarah yawned. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. Okay, I'll be there soon. She kissed my cheek and went to the bedroom. I sat on the couch for a long time after she left, thinking about everything. Tomorrow morning, our marriage would officially be over. Tomorrow, Sarah would get served divorce papers and realize I knew everything. Tomorrow, my real new beginning would start. I woke up at 6 a.m., my heart pounding. This was it. The day everything changed. Sarah was still asleep. I got dressed quietly, jeans and a t-shirt this time. I wasn't going to work. I was going to Marcus's house. I grabbed a bag and packed some clothes and my laptop. Enough for a few days. Margaret had warned me not to be home when Sarah got served the papers. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Went to help Marcus with something. Be back this afternoon. M. Then I walked out of the house for what might be the last time as a married man. Marcus was waiting for me at his apartment across town. When he opened the door, he took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. Today's the day? He asked. Today's the day. We sat in his living room and I explained everything. The lawyer, the papers, the plan. Marcus listened, nodding along. What time is she getting served? He asked. 9 a.m. The process server should be there soon. I looked at my watch. 8:45 a.m. 15 more minutes, and Sarah's world would explode. Are you ready for this? Marcus asked gently. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me still can't believe it's real. Part of me keeps thinking I'll wake up and it will all be a bad dream. But it's not a dream. No, it's not. We sat in silence, waiting. My phone was in my hand, waiting for Margaret Chun to call. At exactly 9:07 a.m., my phone rang. Mr. Torres? It's Margaret Chun. Yes. The papers have been served. Your wife has been officially notified of the divorce proceedings. I closed my eyes. It was done. It was really done. How did she react? I asked, not sure if I wanted to know. According to the process server, she was shocked. She tried to call you multiple times, but you didn't answer. I looked at my phone. 7 missed calls from Sarah. 8, 9. What do I do now? I asked. Nothing. Let her process it. She'll probably try to contact you all day. Don't answer. Let her talk to her lawyer if she has one. In a few days, we'll have a meeting with both parties to discuss asset division. That's when things will get interesting. Okay. Mr. Torres? You did the right thing. Remember that. Thank you, Miss Chun. I hung up and looked at Marcus. It's done, I said. My phone kept ringing. Sarah, Sarah, Sarah. Then a number I didn't recognize, probably her lawyer. Then Sarah again. Finally, a text message came through. Sarah, Michael, please call me. What is this? Divorce? Why? Then another. Sarah, we need to talk. This is insane. Please come home. And another. Sarah, I don't understand. I thought we were fine. Please explain this to me. I almost laughed. She didn't understand? Really? But I didn't respond. Margaret told me not to, and I was going to follow her advice. More texts came flooding in. Sarah, this is crazy. You can't just divorce me out of nowhere. Sarah, at least tell me why. Sarah, Michael, I'm your wife. Talk to me. Then, around 10 a.m., a different message. Sarah, did someone tell you something? Is this about something? She was starting to realize, starting to wonder if I knew. At noon, my phone rang again. But this time it wasn't Sarah. It was my home number. I answered. Hello, Michael. Sarah's voice was shaking. She'd been crying. Please, come home. We need to talk face to face. I don't think that's a good idea right now. Please. I don't understand what's happening. The divorce papers say adultery and fraud. What are you talking about? I never. Stop. I said, my voice cold. Just stop lying. Silence. I know everything, Sarah. I know about David. I know about your plans. I know you were trying to manipulate me into losing my job so you could take the house in the divorce. I know everything. More silence. Then a sound like a sob. Michael, I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you've been cheating on me for 6 months? Explain how you and your boyfriend planned to ruin my life? Explain how you thought I was too stupid to figure it out. It's not. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I was yelling now, months of pain and anger finally exploding out of me. Tell me, Sarah, what was it like? I made a mistake. A mistake? A mistake. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk at the store. What you did was deliberate, calculated betrayal. She was crying harder now. Please, Michael, can we just talk in person? Please. Part of me wanted to say no. Part of me wanted to never see her face again. But another part, the part that used to love her, needed closure. Fine, I said. I'll be there in an hour. But I'm bringing Marcus with me. Why do you need? Because I don't trust you anymore. 1 hour. I hung up. Marcus looked at me. Are you sure about this? No. But I need to do it. I need to look her in the eye and hear her try to explain herself. Okay. Then let's go. We arrived at my house at exactly 1 p.m. Sarah's car was in the driveway, and I could see her sitting on the front steps, her face red and puffy from crying. When she saw me get out of Marcus's truck, she stood up. Michael, don't, I said, holding up my hand. Just don't. Marcus and I walked to the front door. I unlocked it and we all went inside. The house felt different now. Cold. Like it wasn't my home anymore. We sat in the living room, me and Marcus on one couch, Sarah on the other. She looked terrible. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen, still wearing pajamas at 1 in the afternoon. Talk, I said. Explain yourself. Sarah took a shaky breath. I met David at an art class in July. We were just friends at first, I swear. But then, I don't know, we started spending more time together, and you fell in love with him, I finished bitterly. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I didn't mean for it to happen. I still loved you, Michael. I do love you. Don't, I said sharply. Don't you dare say you love me. You don't betray someone you love. I know I messed up. But the divorce, the plans, that was mostly David's idea. Oh, so now you're blaming him? Marcus said, speaking for the first time. No, yes? I don't know. Sarah put her head in her hands. He said we could be together if we played it smart. He said you'd be fine, Michael. That you'd move on and be happy eventually. How generous of him, I said sarcastically. And what about trying to make me lose my job? Was that his idea too? She looked up, shocked. How do you know about that? I pulled out my phone and opened the monitoring app. I turned it toward her, showing her the messages between her and David. Her face went completely white. I know everything, Sarah. Every text, every call, every lie. I installed monitoring software on your phone. I've been reading your messages for days. You spied on me? You were cheating on me, I shouted, standing up. You were planning to destroy my life. Don't you dare act like you're the victim here. She started crying harder. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Michael. It was wrong. All of it was wrong. But please, can't we work through this? Can't we go to counseling or something? I stared at her in disbelief. Work through this? Are you insane? You spent 6 months lying to me. 6 months planning to take everything from me. And you think counseling is going to fix that? People make mistakes. Marriages survive affairs all the time. Maybe they do, I said quietly. But not this one. What you did. It wasn't just an affair, Sarah. You tried to sabotage my career. You plotted with your boyfriend to commit fraud. You're not sorry you did it. You're only sorry you got caught. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it, because she knew I was right. What happens now? She asked in a small voice. Now? Now you get nothing. No house. No alimony. Nothing. My lawyer has all the evidence. The judge will see exactly what kind of person you are. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Call David. I'm sure he'll take care of you. Oh wait. I smiled coldly. Did I mention I'm also suing him? For alienation of affection. He's going to face legal consequences for what he did too. Sarah's eyes went wide. You're suing David? Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? Did you both really think you could just destroy someone's life and walk away? Michael, please. Please what? Please let you stay in my house? Please forgive you? Please forget that you called me boring and stupid in your texts to your boyfriend. She flinched. You read that. I read everything. Every cruel word. Every insult. Every lie. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then Sarah spoke, her voice barely a whisper. I really did love you once, you know? In the beginning. It was real. Maybe it was, I said. But it doesn't matter anymore. You destroyed it. You destroyed us. And now you have to live with that. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Sarah and I both looked at each other in confusion. I went to answer it, and my heart nearly stopped. It was David. He was standing on my porch in his expensive suit, looking angry. Where is she? He demanded. Excuse me, I said. Sarah, where is she? She called me crying, saying something about divorce papers, and he stopped when he saw me really looking at him. You must be Michael. And you must be the man who's been sleeping with my wife. David had the decency to look uncomfortable. Look, I don't want any trouble. Too late for that, I said. You should come in. We have a lot to discuss. David walked into the house. When Sarah saw him, she jumped up. David, Michael knows everything. He's been spying on us. Not spying, I corrected. Gathering evidence. There's a difference. David looked between me and Sarah, his mind clearly racing. Okay, look, this is obviously a complicated situation. Complicated. I laughed. That's one word for it. Here's another word, fraud. You and Sarah conspired to manipulate me into losing my job so she could take my assets in a divorce. That's illegal. David's confident expression faltered. I don't know what you think you know, but I have proof. Text messages. All of them. Between you and Sarah. Planning everything. I pulled out my phone and started reading out loud. Once we get the house and everything sorted, we can finally be together properly. That was you, David. July 22nd, 9:47 p.m. His face went pale. I kept reading. What if you convinced him to start his own business? He'd have to quit his job. October 20th. Once Michael thinks he has no options left, he'll agree to anything. That was Sarah, last week. Stop, David said quietly. Why? Don't you want to hear your greatest hits? Oh, here's a good one. He's too nice, too trusting. That's always been his weakness. You really thought I was that pathetic, didn't you? David stood there, speechless. My lawyer is drawing up a lawsuit against you, I continued. Alienation of affection. You deliberately seduced my wife and destroyed my marriage for financial gain. That's going to cost you a lot. You can't prove that, David said, but his voice was shaky. Actually, I can. I have months of messages proving exactly that. I also have photos of you two at the Grand Hotel. Multiple times. My lawyer says my case is very strong. David looked at Sarah. Why didn't you tell me he knew? I didn't know he knew, Sarah cried. He never said anything. He served me divorce papers this morning out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, I said. I've known for a week, since I got fired, and you celebrated. Sarah looked confused. But you did get fired. I smiled. No, I didn't. I lied. It was a test, to see how you'd react. And you failed spectacularly. You were so happy, Sarah. So excited that my life was falling apart. That was a test? She looked devastated. You tricked me? You were already planning to trick me. I just beat you to it. I turned to David. And for the record, I never lost my job. I'm still employed, still making the same salary. So whatever plan you two had, it was never going to work anyway. David and Sarah looked at each other, the realization dawning on them. They'd been planning and scheming for nothing. I was never the vulnerable, desperate man they thought I'd become. I think you should both leave now, I said. This is my house. Mine alone. Sarah, you have until the end of the week to collect your personal belongings. After that, anything left here becomes my property. But where am I supposed to live? Sarah asked desperately. I looked at David. I'm sure your boyfriend can help with that. After all, isn't that what you wanted? To be with him? David shifted uncomfortably. Sarah, we should go. No. Sarah turned to me, grabbing my arm. Michael, please. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But we can fix this. Please don't do this. I gently but firmly removed her hand from my arm. It's already done, Sarah. The papers are filed. My lawyer has all the evidence. It's over. But I have nowhere to go. No money. No job. You should have thought of that before you tried to steal my house. She looked at David desperately. David? Tell him. Tell him it wasn't my idea. But David was already backing toward the door. I think we should talk to lawyers. Both of us. Separately. He looked at me. You'll be hearing from my attorney. I look forward to it, I said coldly. David practically ran out of the house. Sarah started to follow him, but stopped at the door. Michael, she said one last time, her voice breaking. Goodbye, Sarah. She stood there for a moment longer, tears streaming down her face. Then she walked out and I closed the door behind her. Marcus let out a long breath. That was intense. Yeah, I said, my legs suddenly feeling weak. I sat down on the couch, my whole body shaking. You okay? Marcus asked. I don't know. I think so. Is it supposed to feel like this? Like what? Empty, sad, but also relieved. Marcus sat next to me and put his hand on my shoulder. That's normal, man. You just ended your marriage. Even a bad marriage. It's okay to feel mixed up about it. We sat in silence for a while. Outside, I heard Sarah's car start and drive away. Then David's Mercedes. They were gone. My phone buzzed. A text from Margaret Chin. I heard about the confrontation. Well done staying calm. We'll proceed with both cases. I'll call you tomorrow with updates. Over the next few weeks, everything happened fast. The divorce was finalized in record time. Because I had such overwhelming evidence of Sarah's affair and her plans to commit fraud, the judge ruled in my favor on everything. I got the house, the car, everything. Sarah got nothing, not even alimony. The judge actually said in court that her calculated deception and planned fraud made her ineligible for spousal support. I saw Sarah one more time when she came to collect her belongings. She looked thin and tired. David wasn't with her. He left me, she said quietly while packing boxes. As soon as he found out about the lawsuit, he said it was too complicated. He said he couldn't see me anymore. Part of me wanted to feel sorry for her, but I couldn't. "I'm sorry it ended this way," she said. "I really am." "Me too," I said, and I meant it. I was sorry our marriage died. Sorry she became someone I couldn't recognize. Sorry for the time we wasted. But I wasn't sorry for protecting myself. I wasn't sorry for fighting back. The lawsuit against David took longer, but eventually we settled out of court. He paid me $150,000 to avoid a trial. His car dealership's reputation took a hit when word got out about the case. As for me, I kept my job, kept my house, started over. Took time, months really, but slowly I began to feel like myself again. Marcus was there every step of the way, helping me repaint rooms, change locks, make the house mine instead of ours. I went to therapy to work through the betrayal and trust issues. I focused on my work and got promoted. I started going to the gym and picked up old hobbies I'd abandoned. And most importantly, I learned something valuable. I wasn't boring or stupid or weak like Sarah and David thought. I was strong enough to face the truth, smart enough to protect myself, brave enough to start over. 6 months after the divorce, I was at a coffee shop on a Saturday morning. The same coffee shop where I'd met Sarah 5 years ago. I was reading a book and drinking coffee when someone accidentally bumped my table, making my coffee slosh a little. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," a woman's voice said. I looked up. She had red hair, blue eyes, and a genuinely apologetic smile. "It's okay," I said. "No harm done." "I'm so clumsy," she laughed. "Are you sure your book is okay? I'd feel terrible if I ruined it." "The book is fine. Really." She smiled and started to walk away, then turned back. "I know this is forward, but you look really familiar. Have we met before?" "I don't think so," I said. "I'd remember." She blushed a little. "Well, I'm Jennifer, and I promise I'm not usually this awkward." "Michael?" I said, smiling for the first time in what felt like forever. "And I think awkward is underrated." She laughed. "That's a good perspective." "Well, Michael, it was nice accidentally meeting you." "You too, Jennifer." She started to leave again, then stopped. "This is crazy and feel free to say no, but would you want to have coffee sometime?" On purpose this time. I hesitated. Part of me was scared. Scared to trust again. Scared to open up. But another part of me remembered what my therapist said. Don't let one bad person make you stop believing in good ones. "I'd like that," I said. Jennifer's face lit up. "Really? Great. Can I get your number?" As I gave her my number, I realized something. The story with Sarah and David was over. That chapter of my life was closed. But my story was still being written. And maybe, just maybe, the next chapter would be better than any that came before. A year after everything happened, I got a message from an unknown number. "Michael, this is Sarah. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. I was selfish and cruel, and you deserved so much better. I'm in therapy now, working on myself. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I realize what I did was unforgivable. I hope you're happy. You deserve happiness. S. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it. Not out of anger. Not out of bitterness. But because that part of my life was over. Sarah was my past and I was focused on my future. Jennifer was making dinner in the kitchen. We'd been dating for 10 months now, and she just moved into the house last month. We were taking things slow, building something real and honest. "Everything okay?" Jennifer called from the kitchen. "Yeah," I said, putting my phone away. "Everything's perfect." And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. The test I gave Sarah revealed her true character. It showed me who she really was when times got tough. And while it broke my heart, it also saved my life. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing that could have happened. Because if Sarah hadn't betrayed me, I never would have found myself again. I never would have learned my own strength. And I never would have been free to find real love. Michael's story started with betrayal and heartbreak, but it ended with strength, justice, and a real new beginning. He proved that being too nice and too trusting aren't weaknesses. They're signs of a good person. And good people deserve good endings. What did you think of Michael's journey? Drop a comment below. And if this story taught you anything about relationships, trust, or standing up for yourself, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Most importantly, subscribe to this channel to support our growth. We share stories of real people facing real challenges, and your support helps us keep bringing these stories to you. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Remember, if someone shows you who they really are, believe them, and never let anyone make you feel weak for being kind. The right person will love you for it, not take advantage of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story. Red Heart.